You know what? I'm loving so many people are here this morning.
Yeah,
Love that.
Because some conversations I have with people and they're like, oh, really? That really happened to you? I'm like, what bubble are you living in?
It actually doesn't have a positive effect on the body.
they know that they don't know and still won't go out and find the information.
What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 Innovation Award winner, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads, fathers, and male caregivers that is sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. Listen to me. All right, there. Feeling better now. And being part of that team, we've reached out directly and indirectly to 400,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers around the world. And there's something coming up that our team is going to be working on for Father's Day. So I'll be keeping you abreast. We should have something Father's Day's coming up real quick in the next few days to see if you will be taking your time to just drive an initiative in regards to Father's Day and Dove Men Plus Care and Dad Central. So as always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. My co-host, Ryan Knight, won't be able to make it today, but hey, I'm hand solo. And it's the second last day of May. I get up every morning and I flip a coin to see if I'm going to see sunshine or not. The way we've had springtime in Toronto, you never know what you're going to get. More often than not, we're getting cloudy days, or as my dad would say, days of night, as he likes to call them. But today, got up this morning, saw the sunshine, went out on the veranda and just enjoyed the nice quiet morning for about 15, 20 minutes. Looking forward to a weekend. I always look forward to a weekend. It's good to have a weekend. It's good to have anything that's good in the world today. And hope your week has been good. On my end, didn't do too many shows this week. Did one on Tuesday night about Lyme disease with Serena Wills. Excellent conversation. And she comes on every month. She told me now this is the 6th year in a row in May that she's come on. She has Lyme disease herself, and just sharing some of her journey, some new things I didn't know, and a lot of things a lot of the viewers did not know about Lyme disease. So I want to encourage you to catch the replay. It was an epic conversation. See a lot of people jumping in. So, hey, if you are all you're jumping in on the Dr. Vibe YouTube channel. So, hey, shout out where you're from. We'd like to say hello. Good morning. Ask and I shall receive. So who's already in the house? Good morning, Fitness IQ says, morning. Good to hear from you this morning. Can count on her. Actually, that's another thing. I should say, you should check out the show she does on Saturday afternoons called Things I Wish I Knew About Money. You should change that. Money, the way you spell money. Should change that spelling. And also in the house, good morning, Dr. Tachi from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Good to have you as always. Yeah, been a good week. And for myself, after this conversation, I don't have tomorrow at 5 p.m. with Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala. And I have Sunday night with Black Men Can Talk, and also Sunday afternoon with Black Canada Talking. All those things going on. Oh, Fitness IQ Cam gives the hands up, and Fitness IQ says that's a good idea. What's a good idea, Fitness IQ Cam? What's a good idea? You got to tell me. Actually, one other thing I want to ask people who are watching live right now, wherever you are, what's a win you've had this week? What's a win that you've had? And it doesn't have to be a big, huge thing. It can be a small thing. But what's a win that you've had this week? Actually, for myself, it's an interesting. There's a number I've had this week. But okay, so Dr. Tachi's asking, what is your channel? Fitness IQ Cam. She wants to know what it is. So they're communicating and meeting each other. I guess one win that I had is on Monday, we had a conversation with Donovan, Ralph Martin, and Emma about the crisis about missing Black Canadians and how this number of missing Black Canadians is increasing and there's not enough attention being put on it. let's just put it this way. Both of them are going to be on again. That was a big win. And I followed up with that right after the conversation ended on Monday. So just a little bit of a thing here, just a thought, a suggestion. Follow up quickly. And with both of them, we had great after show conversations, and it's going to lead to some other collaborations down the road. Actually, Emma is going to be, she does PR and also is an online broadcaster herself. She's going to be part of an event that's happening in August, and there's a panel discussion that she's asked me to be on. I said, yes. I just enjoyed that. More exposure, and it is right aimed at my target market. So that's fantastic. So Fitness IQ shares a win, says, got my grandma's bathtub lift installed after months. Love it. Love it. Yeah, I'm going to make that more often now. I'm going to just start off every show. Share me a win that you've had. I do that with whenever I'm doing sharing sessions or facilitation. I ask someone, what's a win that you have? Just start with positive energy. Okay, American Patton, good morning. I'm tuning in from Kansas City, Kansas. Keep shining, Dr. Vibe. Thank you. Love that. Kansas City, Kansas. All right. Now, Fitness IQ says, here, Dr. Tachi, but you're not giving Dr. Tachi any information. You're just saying, here, Dr. Tachi. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to go on a quick break. We have, well, a recurring friend, and then we have a brand new friend on with us this morning. And, okay, let me just, Dr. Tachi says, we had a great session in the cohort yesterday with Tracy Pickett, Esquire, and the founder of Harabella. Whoa! That's large. And Dr. Tachi is part of a cohort that is really, really engaged high level in regards to content creators that I believe is it run by Pharrell? He's overseeing that. You can tell me in the chat if that is the case. But you know what? We're going to get right to break because, like I said, we have a returning friend and then a brand new friend. But the brand new friend can only be with us for probably a half an hour. So we're going to go in with him in a good way. All right? So we'll be back in 30 seconds. You know what time it is? It's Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala.
He wants to either kick this man out or take over. And that's the thing that should scare everyone.
Will they begin at the end of winter? Will they begin at the beginning of summer? But one thing that's for sure, there will be protests.
We're already at this risk. We've already passed it. There is no putting things back in the box. Now we just all have to ride this roller coaster screaming.
Did I tell you about it earlier? Yes, Primetime Saturday with Ish and Lala, 5 p.m. Saturdays, Eastern Time, 2 p.m. Pacific. And you heard the ladies there. And if you saw on the video there, the little promo, one of the things that said Doge, and Doge was run by Mr. Elon Musk, and it's actually his last day running Doge today, and him and 47 are doing a press conference, but 47 is only invited selected media people. Interesting. Selected media people. All right, let's do some things. So Dr. Tachi says yes, which is yes, Pharrell is running that program. And then Inspired Thought says, good morning, everybody. Good morning right back to you. All right, let's get some housework done. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Join the Morning Vibe Discord group. Email me at dr.vibe at the dr.vibeshow.com, or there's a link there to click on for Discord to advertise your business product or service on any of the platforms I'm a part of. Please email me dr.vibe at the dr.vibeshow.com. And speaking of Dr. Tachi, she programs a network called Indie Soup TV. And Indie Soup TV is an independent content creators network, anywhere between 25 and 30 independent content creators. I'm one of them. I also sit on the advisory board. And now Dr. Tachi, it's out 13, 14 months, getting close to 30,000 YouTube subscribers. 30,000 YouTube subscribers. And I always add on, only 4% of all YouTube channels have over 10,000 subscribers. Hello. All right. Let's get to one more comment. Destiny Savory from the Niagara region. We have to read chat. We saw each other at the Buy Blacks Black Restaurant Week kickoff, and you were asking, I need to get back on the show. Message me. I think you did, but if you didn't, do it again. All right. Prostate cancer, especially amongst Black men, which I'm one of them, last I checked, is something very, very severe and very, very challenging. And there is an organization called the Walnut Foundation that's been going for a number of years, who really, really are focused on education and eradication of prostate cancer when it comes to Black men. And we are very blessed this morning to have a returning friend, Mr. Anthony Henry, president of the Walnut Foundation. And then just for, this gentleman has nothing to do. Dr. Van Ferron is joining us, and he's the honorary chair of the Walkathon. I said short, Anthony Henry, he's the president of Walnut Foundation, but we have to give Dr. Ferron his proper flowers. And he's a prostate cancer survivor and a passionate advocate for education, health, and community development. As president of George Brown College, he leads one of Canada's most diverse urban post-secondary institutions, driving innovation, career-focused learning. Why am I mind on money? Career-focused learning and social impact. I could go longer, but I know his time is limited. But I want to say good morning, gentlemen, and thank you for both taking the time. How are we doing today?
Good morning, and thanks for having us on again. Appreciate it. And just thank you. Appreciate the ability to help to amplify the work that we're doing at the Walnut Foundation.
100%. And Dr. Ferron, before you go any further, I want to give and bless you for all the work you have done, have done, and will be doing, because I think you got lots of time.
Well, it's absolutely fantastic to make time and to be available for supporting an incredible cause, an incredible foundation. The Walnut Foundation has been doing work in the community to support men's health, to enhance awareness about prostate cancer, what you need to do in order to make sure that you get checked annually, particularly once you're over 40, and then also to have the confidence that early detection is an incredible lifesaver, and nearly 100% recovery, life-saving with early detection. So important for us to be able to communicate with the Black community at large, with men, but really with families. It's a whole family community effort, and the support provided by families, the support provided by community, and the support provided by the Walnut Foundation can save lives and can make such a significant difference to so many individuals. And with a cause like that, I definitely can make time to be available to support. And maybe a good way to start is to recognize that I'm here because I got treated for prostate cancer. I'm here because I did the work to get detection as well, and had family support and community support. So in many respects, I guess I'm really an example of the good work done by the Walnut Foundation, and I've gone on to be able to do a lot of things thereafter. And I'm so pleased for the work that they've done and for the opportunity to be here with you as well. And I gotta say, Dr. Vibe, wow, what an opportunity, what a moment. Thank you so much.
Well, I'm humbled and honored to have you share with us a little bit. And because your time is limited, and I know Anthony won't mind, I'd just like to focus a little bit on you. How did you find out, and what was your first reaction when you found out you had prostate cancer?
Well, at first I was, it started off with some symptoms that almost mimicked an infection. And I actually went to the hospital thinking that I had an infection. The doctors thought I had an infection, but they said, at your age, probably just an infection, antibiotics, you'll be fine, but let's just take a precaution and have you see a urologist. My PSA level, which is just so everybody knows what PSA is prostate specific antigen. Is produced by the prostate gland. And as that level start elevating above your trend line, you know that likely something's wrong. Doesn't necessarily mean it's cancer, but my levels weren't elevated to any significant degree. So it meant then a little bit of a watch where we started to say, let's just take a look at what was going on. And over about a year, almost 2 years, went through a series of different tests and so forth. I had a really great doctor that said, even though it doesn't seem like there's anything wrong, he doesn't trust that there is something that's worthwhile being prudent about. And I got my detection after doing a biopsy was that it turns out that my Gleason score, which has been in the news recently, was 7 high. It's usually rated from 1 to 10. I was in my late 40s, so that was a high number at that early stage in that sense. And I got that was determined on December the 23rd, and on January the 19th, I had a operation for what's called a radical prostatectomy, which means that they take it and everything around just to make absolutely sure, and afterwards had 30 sessions of radiation. Again, this is more than 15 years ago. The technology was way different. Today, the technology is so incredible. Today, you're in the hospital in the morning, a couple days later, you're out getting back to doing what you're doing. Back then, it wasn't like that. And what that tells you is that the work done by organizations such as the Walnut Foundation, it's really contributing to research. It's really contributing to awareness, meaning that if I was more aware, I probably would have had an understanding of some of the warning signs a little bit better in that regard. But I think the Walnut Foundation and the work being done, it says follow up, get checked. And the combination of family support and community support meant that I took it seriously. And that has made all the difference in me being here today and doing a lot of items in support of education, support of community, and making a difference to my family and my community. So I think, again, I can't speak more highly about the Walnut Foundation and encourage individuals, if they can't get to the walkathon, go on the website, make a donation, just be that support that someone might need as they say to themselves, what do I do? I'm not sure. Should I get checked? The answer is yes. Should I get treated? The answer is yes. The last point, don't be scared. It's all right. It's all right. I'm not as cool as Dr. Vibe, but
stop.
It's all right.
What? No, we are all cool if we choose to be. The two doctors in the house, all right? So
there you go.
Two cool doctors in the house. I mean, what a great, there's so many wonderful things that I want to shine light on. I love how you mentioned about the importance to the family. Right. And we have to realize, especially as Black men, it's bigger than us.
Yeah.
I love that. I want Anthony to just jump in a bit, because one of the things, Doctor, you mentioned was the early detection and acting on early detection. Dr. Ferron, you went in right from the get-go. Anthony, can you go in and say the importance of being proactive, especially when there's early detection?
That is so important. And if I use myself as an example, I learned from the early demise of my dad, who was not being followed, who was not being screened. And for my family, it was a wake-up call. So I actually started screening at age 40. I was lucky enough to have the right kind of advice and support around me. And the medical professional who understood my increased risk. And so I was followed meticulously, religiously from age 40. So my cancer was discovered at a very early stage, a Gleason 6 score when it was initially diagnosed. And I did about 9.5 years of just active surveillance, just monitoring. That again comes from, knowledge, research. 25, 30, 40 years ago, the thinking would have been that as soon as you're diagnosed, you should go to treatment right away. Today, we have about the body of knowledge, though, that helps us to determine which cancers are, pussycats, if I can use that term, and which ones are tiger cats and needs to be treated immediately. And so just the knowledge base, the understanding on the research side is important. But also from the patient and community side, it's so important to have the knowledge, have the understanding, appreciate the importance of early screening, because early screening means that you have more options in terms of treatment, but to get the early screening piece, it's important to have us come and talk to your church group, your community group. It's so important for families to, converse with each other, for fathers to engage with their sons, for uncles to engage, for, sisters, mothers, wives, partners, however you want to put it, to engage with each other, to aim to make a difference in this disease. It is not acceptable to have these outsized levels of, prostate cancer in our community and do nothing about it. We are more likely to be diagnosed, 76% more likely to be diagnosed. We are 2.2 times as likely to die from it. So it's not good for a system to tell us, oh, you guys are at a high risk. Oh, and by the way, go sit over there. So as a community, we need to be engaging with each other, but we also need to be engaging systems, because we have to pound the drums on urgency. And that's why this effort is so important. It's not just about the fundraising piece. It's also about the awareness building on there. So we are happy to help to amplify that work wherever and whenever we can get to do that.
100%. Dr. Fearon, I want to ask the importance of a Black man's relationship with his doctor. And, I think it's somewhat of a generality, but I think it's a little bit true. Most men, regardless of cultural background, have a challenge going to their doctor. And I like to say to myself, I go to my doctor every month, and not because I'm ill, but there's conditions that my father had on his side. He's a prostate cancer survivor. But can you share about the relationship you had with your doctor, and just in general, how important it is Black men having a doctor, and second of all, having a relationship with their doctor?
Yeah. Well, I think fundamentally it's very, very important to have a great relationship with your doctor. But I want to take a little bit of an analogy, and I can't say I was much of a basketball star, but I did play goalie in soccer. So for those from the British side of the world, football. But in any case, It's like having a relationship with your coach. And your coach, you're on the field, you're living life, you're doing what you're doing. They're out there being able to be a part of that broader team of your success. They're able to watch out for things that you might not be able to see. You need to be able to talk to your coach, your doctor, periodically in order to make sure that you're at your best. And I think it's very, very important to view your doctor, the medical care system, as a part of your broader team of your success. If I said to somebody that you would have a coach or somebody standing on side that could get you promoted, get your lifetime income doubled and the likes, somebody would put their hand up and say, right away, I'm on board. Well, if you don't treat prostate cancer and you leave it alone, you don't get early detection and you don't take the warning signs, well, you're actually gambling with your lifetime income because you're gambling with your life. And that means then that your doctor is part of that, your overall success, your life success. And your family cares about that. People around you care about that. And I can also tell you that for me, one of the greatest discoveries was the amazing humility, support, how wonderful humanity, family, friends, colleagues were. As I was going through prostate cancer, it was for me one of the most amazing learning periods of being able to see how people stepped up to be a part of my recovery and my support and the likes. In other words, what I'm saying, your doctor is a part of that broader team that makes you you. You know, it's that idea that we are, right? I am because we are that support around you, and your doctor's got to be a part of that support. So how to approach that relationship? Approach that relationship by recognizing that you need to ask questions. Yeah. Recognizing that it is your health. Recognizing if you brought your car in and you heard a vibration or something like that, you wouldn't walk out of there and say, with the mechanic saying, don't worry about that sound. You know something has changed. Seek out and get that information as well, and build that relationship even before in that regard. So the idea, as Anthony has made mention, you don't get prostate in terms of PSA testing the day before a detection. You set up a regime of early testing from your 40, 45 or so, and depending on your family history, working with your doctors, because it's not the absolute number that's so important, it's the change. So if you don't have a baseline, you actually can't detect the change. And that means that relationship, when your doctor sees that change, when you see that change, you know that you need to do further investigation. Doesn't mean that you have a crisis, so don't be scared. Yeah. Right? It just means that you need more information, and where that information should come from should be from a medical doctor. Lots of stuff on the internet. You could get all kinds of, your friends can tell you all kinds of stuff. Drink this, jump that, all really interesting things. But the person who's going to ultimately treat you is a medical doctor. So why not talk with them early and make that just part of your life, part of your regime?
Nice. Anthony, how over your time being involved with this movement, I won't call it a cause anymore, movement, has the relationship with the medical community improved?
Big time, I would say. We're engaged with the medical folks in research. For example, initially when I was diagnosed, I was recommended to a 2-year study, just looking at, different ways of dealing with, a low-risk prostate cancer, and whether or not doing a biopsy was necessary. Looking at things like whether an MRI could substitute, and that was a 2-year study. So that was one engagement with the system on the research side. The other piece was having people from the medical community come in to talk to us about genetics and genetic testing. Through that program, I was, recommended to do some genetic testing. And that helped to inform my decision around treatment. So, for example, with that study, they were trying to identify if I was positive for the BRCA2 gene, which is also related to breast cancer. So, for example, if I was positive for that gene, then I likely would not have been recommended to go on active surveillance. So you learn so much from engaging with systems and not being afraid to engage, despite, past horrors and missteps in terms of the medical system's engagement with Black communities. I'm talking about, Tuskegee and what came out of that, for example. So even though there are fears, concerns, whatever, we also need to engage if we want to improve the numbers and make the numbers in terms of deaths better. So on many levels, it's so important. The other piece is just having professionals come in to speak to us, to engage with community around trends that they're seeing in particular groups, let's say Caribbean folks, West African folks, for example, because we tend to have higher incidences and deaths. So even though there's a Black community, we don't all have the same experiences and outsized deaths from this disease. So just having these people come in and try to explain the numbers and the differences is so important in terms of building understanding and trust as well.
Okay. All right. It's good. We have Dr. Fearon for another 10 to 15 minutes. So we're going to take advantage of that opportunity big time. Let me ask Dr. Fearon and also Anthony, because I believe both you are the tip of the spear when we're talking about this. What about barriers to screening? Are there any these days? Because compared from when you first found out you had prostate, how has it changed in the right direction in regards to barriers to screening? Dr. Fearon?
Well, I think I'll make a little bit of a list, but I also think that Anthony will be able to really add to that list. And let's start off with the work of the Walnut Foundation over the years. Awareness, that first one, that's changed big time. I think across the community, at least in the Toronto area, by way of example, and across Canada, there's a significant awareness as it relates to screening. The second item that I think has become important is that quite often it is now pretty close to a routine part of dialogue as part of your annual checkup. As part of that annual checkup, that there'll be screening as part of that process. Next, in terms of the range of analysis that's out there, before a biopsy was generally the path that would be had. Today, that's not necessarily true. There's so many different ways that's done. That's not invasive. That doesn't require much more than somebody going in and the likes. I think the fear factor as well. In terms of fear of the results, at one time, individuals were concerned about, what was the treatment regime. So 20, 25 years ago, that would have been kind of some of the questions. Individuals would have been having questions by way of examples. Well, what would have been some of the side effects of treatment and the likes? Today, you can answer those questions by saying, for the vast majority of individuals, you're going to be just fine. And the best side effect is life. The side effect is you live, and the probabilities without treatment, you don't. So I think that a lot of progress has been made. But I think on some of the technicalities of some of that, I think Anthony would probably make mention as well. Anthony, do you want to maybe supplement some of my points?
Yeah, sure. So one issue with that in terms of would be that the PSA test is not covered by OHIP. So that's one key issue there. Now, if you have a family history or you're from a high-risk group, according to the rules, you're supposed to be exempt from having to pay for the test. But very often, that box doesn't get checked on the requisition slip. All right. So it's two things. If the doctor isn't aware of your higher risk or not sufficiently, understanding of that risk, then he or she might not check the box off. But there's also a patient responsibility part as well. So if you're attending our forums and engaging, and we are speaking to each other, then you would know that you should be exempt, and you can just remind your practitioner that, hey, would I not qualify? And so sometimes we have to be able to have that ability to push back a little bit. So that's one of the barriers, the PSA itself. I suppose the other piece is in terms of screening is the DRE. A lot of us are reluctant to get that digital rectal exam. And again, for the wrong reasons. People sometimes feel that if they do the DRE, that somehow it impacts on or says something about their masculinity or sexuality on there, so they don't want to have that digital exam. And when they're doing the digital exam, what they're really trying to do is to just understand if there's an issue with that prostate. So they insert the glove finger through the rectum to check the circumference of the prostate to see if there's any nodules, any growth, or anything that might indicate that, perhaps there is something going on there. So not wanting to do the test is a problem. And I mentioned the cost as well of doing it. For a lot of people, $40 is not a big deal, but for some people, it might be. There's also something to do here with the way the system is. So we have a universal healthcare system. And so, there is a built-in reluctance to ask somebody to pay for something in a system like this. Whereas in the US, for example, it's understood that you pay for everything. Right? So there are these kinds of things that are going on in the background. We have advocated for free PSA testing in Ontario. And whenever a bill goes forward in the Ontario legislature, we've always been there up front, pushing for it. We would like to see the Ontario government cover the PSA test as a part of the regular process. Mammograms are covered, why is PSA test not covered, for example? So that's pretty much.
All right. Well, I'm going to give this one last to Dr. Farron for his time here. What are some final words you'd like to leave the audience with in regards to Black men and prostate health?
The first item I would like to say is early detection can make all the difference. Treatment is about your health and about your future. Your family cares and your community cares. The Walnut Foundation is here to provide information that can assist you in being able to make some choices about your health. I would also like to be able to say that the courage to follow up is important. And courage is about choices. And that means that it's so important to make that choice to be able to share your family history. And that means that for men who've had a history of prostate cancer, it's so important to share that knowledge with your family members, because there's a direct relationship in terms of genetics, your experience, and potentially their experiences in the future. And then to the question that you raised earlier, build that strong relationship with your doctor and get that annual testing as we age over 40 to be able to get a baseline. And as well, to be really enthusiastic about the idea of getting treatment, because it really then propels you to go on and do so many other things. And the other part of what it also qualifies you to do, it qualifies you to come on this show with Dr. Vibe and to be able to get
look, I think you got enough on your plate. I can't hire you. But if you were available, I'd hire you.
So there you go. And I think that the last item I would say is that Anthony's a volunteer, and it also gets you to get out at the walkathon, to be able to make a donation, but also to know that you're making a contribution to a community and to others. And in that regard, as we make contribution to building strong communities, and we're building strong countries and strong possibilities for humanity. So what a great cause. And I'm so pleased to be a part of it. Thank you very much.
And I just want to add before Dr. Farron runs off that, prostate cancer is no respecter of persons. And so it's really gratifying to have you on board to help with the effort. Whether we're academics, politicians, ministers, laborers, whatever, we're all impacted. And so it's so important, and I'm happy to have you be a part of the conversation and the cause around this issue. And, it's something that impacts us all. It's a public health issue. And so it's, really thank you for being involved in this process.
Yeah, and if I may, for one moment, I when the opportunity came to lend my name to the walkathon and be associated with the Walnut Foundation, part of the reason why I stepped up is because quite often when you have a name that's recognizable and you have achievements in one quarter, individuals tend to and can tend to shy away from difficult conversations. And I think it's so important for us all to be able to say exactly what Anthony has just said. Prostate cancer, it's one area. Listen, bro, it does not discriminate. And that means that the only choice you have is early detection, treatment, education, knowledge. Those are our choices. And I'm so pleased to be a part of this. Thank you so much.
Well put. Thank you so much, Dr. Farron. And as always, don't just manage your time, manage your energy, and remember to give yourself grace.
Okay.
Have a great day.
We'll see you on the walk.
All right. Yeah, exactly. See you on the walk is right. That's fantastic. Oh, that is great. So let's do a little bit of a reset here. So the walkathon details, and I have shared it on all the in the comment sections and all the platforms that I am broadcasting on. It's actually on June 7th from 8 a.m. to 12 noon, where the Paul Paleschi Recreation Center, 30 Loafers Lake Lane in Brampton. And you can donate through the link that I've put there. It's also in the comment section of all the platforms that we're broadcasting. I've also, if you want to find more information about the Walnut Foundation, email. Oh, I was there. Yeah.
You were? You're there?
Yeah, there we go. That's the website. There's the walnutfoundation.com. Email address info@walnutfoundation.com. Phone number 905-799-2759. Instagram at, that's a typo there. I've corrected, the Walnut Foundation. All right. And I apologize to my producer. He was right and I messed up there. So my apologies, producer. All right. He's got his thumb up. Got a lot of questions and comments here. So let's go back a little bit. First, I know she's in. Leslie McEwen, Mental Health Simplified, says, good morning, everyone. Awesome topic, so needed. Right back at you. Thank you, Leslie. The Food Plate says, good morning, Dr. Vibe and guest DS here. Now, he has a lot of questions, so he'll probably, and it's a good thing because he's probably going to probably steal some of them going on my legend. But before we do that, I have an engagement little segment for everyone here. So if you're watching this on my YouTube channel live, we have a little bit of a poll here. And the question is, do you know any Black men who have had or have prostate cancer? So all you got to do in your YouTube channel is either 1, then press enter, 2, enter, or 3, enter. So we'll be keeping a track of that poll in real time. Now, first question from the Food Plane says, at what age should men start getting regular prostate screenings, especially if they have no symptoms?
We typically encourage men starting at age 40, especially if you're Black. The standard per the standard of care is age 50 for the general population. But because we have a situation where we're dying at twice the level and being diagnosed at a higher clip than the normal population, then we recommend age 40. And so when we do our prostate cancer pop-up clinics, they're called PSA Detect and Protect. We take men beginning at age 40, especially if you have a family history, especially if you're a Black, Caribbean, or West African.
Okay. Next conversation piece by Food Plane. How reliable are home testing kits for prostate health?
Not sure about home testing kits per se. I think that the PSA test is a typical one of the typical tools used there. I hope the person is not confusing the PSA test, with the other tests.
Okay, no problem. Next question from Food Plane says, do you see I think we've chatted about this, but you can go into it more if you want. Do you see a stigma or fear playing a role in why some men delay screening or diagnosis?
Stigma is certainly a part of the issue here. A lot of men don't want to deal with anything to do with, below their belt. They don't want anybody going there. And so there's an issue there. And part of it is fear as well, certainly. So that's a big part of the issue. And that's why we need to engage in these conversations. One, to demonstrate that, if we get checked early enough, then the outcome could be better. Mm-hmm. The longer you wait, the more you ignore the symptoms, the more likely you will have advanced cancer by the time you get in touch with the Walnut Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
So what we want to do is to get the information, get the knowledge, and start talking. We have men in this organization, many, who've survived, who are still active, still functioning, still contributing to society. And that's because maybe they were lucky enough to catch it early enough, or B, they were proactive, and so they're still with us today. Men do not really have to die from prostate cancer.
And if people want, they can speak to my dad. He's a survivor, and he had it many years ago, and he is advanced in age, and he's still going. Excuse me, he's still going strong.
Mm-hmm.
The food plane says, "I'm bringing it." Yes, you're bringing it today, food plane. And also, he asks, "How do cultural views on masculinity affect men's willingness to talk about or check for prostate health?"
Mm-hmm. Well, as I mentioned before, in particular, as it relates to the DRE, men do not want to get the DRE done because somehow some of them feel like if they do that test, then it's going to make them gay or something like that. Mm-hmm. So there's that issue. There's also notions around that people think that because they're vegetarian or vegan, or they're doing all the wonderful things in the gym and they're buff, that they shouldn't get screened. Just last night at our support group meeting, somebody showed up there who 25 years as a vegan, but still ended up with prostate cancer. We have Martin Luther King Jr., the third, who died last year. I think it was last year. He was a vegan, yet he ended up with prostate cancer. I'm saying this to say that even if you are doing the right things, eating well, exercising, you're in the right place spiritually, you could still end up with prostate cancer. So never skip your screenings. The thing on there with prostate cancer is, and Dr. Ferrin kind of alluded to that as well, about the lack of symptoms. He thought it was an infection, right? So by that I mean, you might think you have a urinary tract infection, for example, mm-hmm. Prostatitis or something like that. And so you kind of ignored it, right? Or you don't look deep enough in terms of the screening tools, and so you ignore it, and then, you end up with full-blown prostate cancer. So we don't want that to happen to you. What we know about prostate cancer is that most of the times it's slow growing. But you could have a problem that's sitting there festering. We've had guys who call us and say, I used to get screened, but for some reason I stopped screening in 2015.
Oh, wow.
Or I used to screen, but unfortunately during COVID, those 2-3 years, I didn't see a doctor, I didn't get screened, and here I am with full-blown prostate cancer.
But I just want to interrupt with that. Mm-hmm. It's been a few years since COVID has somewhat. When you get a situation like that, what do you say to that person?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a tough conversation, and very often they'll say, it's my fault.
Okay.
And that's when they kind of come to the Walnut Foundation. Yeah. I remember one gentleman, in fact, in his case, he was getting tested, but he stopped. And so when he engaged with us, he was stage 4.
Oh, no.
And he was like, just upset with himself. And so he made it his mission to go back to the Caribbean and talk to the people there about, or fears of the DRE, or machismo type of behavior where we don't want to get checked. And unfortunately, he passed. But we've had these kinds of situations to deal with. So that's what this walkathon effort is so important, because a big part of it is the whole piece of going out, talking to churches, talking to community groups, and trying to build up a momentum each year around this issue. And that culminates with the walk in June.
Okay. So Derek says, Dr. Vibe show and the food playing, good morning. Matt Duffy says, I know you said the best age is to start is 40 if you have no symptoms, but what are the most common starting signs to look out for when it comes to men younger than 40?
Younger. Not so sure about that piece, because the issue with this thing is, like you take my case, for example, there were no obvious symptoms. Typical symptoms would be things like frequent urination, blood in the urine, blood in the semen, pain and ejaculation, back pain, things like that. But some of these issues do not necessarily point to prostate cancer, right? So it's not unusual for there to be delays, because they're ruling out other issues, muscle strains, something to do with how you work, how do you work, and so you start getting these pains. So they have to rule out certain things first before they go to looking for prostate cancer. There's a process.
Right.
And you don't typically see some of these symptoms in younger men. All right. And so what I would say very often is, if you're waiting for symptoms, it might be too late. This is why you need to be proactive. I mean, after all, guys, and women out there who are listening, we're talking about a blood test here, the screening protocol. It's just a blood test. It's not going to kill you. So why not do the blood test as a part of your routine, testing program, even if you have to pay the $40 in Ontario?
It's an investment, not an expense.
Exactly.
Right. So the food plane says, I appreciate this open dialogue. So many men suffer in silence when early detection could save lives. Mm-hmm. He also says, it's powerful to hear this discussed publicly. A lot of people think prostate cancer only affects older men, but that's not always true.
Yeah. And to that point, at our talk last Saturday evening at a church out in the West End in Toronto, a lady showed up there with her son. He's 45 years old with prostate cancer.
Oh.
Okay. So I know of what I speak. I know what I'm seeing.
Oh, yeah.
I know what I'm hearing.
You're on the front line.
Yeah. When I go to health fairs, we know what's being said at the tables, the questions, the issues that come up. It's real, and
100%.
That's why this work is so gratifying. Part of the issue as well is, when you go in to see your medical practitioner, very often they don't have the time to go into all the details. But, if you pick up some information, you can go back to them and say, well, I've been having these symptoms. We've done A, B, C. What about this? So you have to be a part of your care.
Yeah.
You go to your mechanic, because the red light, the check engine light comes on. You explain to the mechanic, the symptoms when it comes on, right? and they go through a series of steps. But you have to be a part of the process, because you help your mechanic to determine what's wrong with your car. It's no different with your body.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, it's the most important engine you got, right? Right. Let me bring it up. If you have any thoughts on the higher diagnosis and mortality rates in Black men, are there any reasons behind that?
Mm-hmm. You know, that's something that they're trying to get at. Not nearly enough dollars are put behind it. You know, what we do know is that we have outsized deaths in the Caribbean. Like globally, the death rate is about 7.7 per 100,000. But when we look at, you know, some of the Caribbean islands, we're seeing death rates in the high 20s.
Wow.
To high 40 to the low 40s per 100,000, as compared to 7.7 per 100,000. Similarly, we see the same kind of patterns in West African countries. Okay. In Ontario, what we've done at the Walnut Foundation is to try to attempt to get at the research. Unfortunately, they don't keep race-based data here. So we've had to get around that somewhat. So with the help of Dr. Aisha Lofters at Women's College Hospital, we did a research study back in 2023. I think the report came out the fall of 23. And that report looked at prostate cancer in immigrant men in Ontario. And again, what that showed is outsized returns for those two populations, Caribbean, West African. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done to better understand, even within Black folks, why these outsized incidences in those populations, say compared to South Africans or East Africans, right? We also don't know, you know, what those numbers look like for native-born Canadians. So there's a lot of work that still needs to be done on that piece. And so that's why we are engaged in different research pieces. So we did that research with Dr. Lofters. Another one is a genetic study that we are involved with, Dr. Neil Fleshner at Princess Margaret Cancer Center.
Right.
With that study, what they're going to do is look at, you know, samples from Black men who've passed from prostate cancer to see if there's some commonality in genetic makeup. The idea then would be to take that information and go back to family members who are still alive to inform them around, you know, earlier screening, perhaps for breast cancer and prostate cancer. And in fact, the PSA screening program that we're doing at the moment came out of that genetic study. So again, important for us to engage systems and push. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Yeah. So, you know, it's so important for us to be engaged, you know, with systems to try to get that.
Man, so you are in demand, brother. You are in demand.
Everybody's calling me this morning.
It's okay.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
It's all right.
Close.
Then, you know what? I'd be remiss if we don't spend some time talking about the Walnut Foundation. So if you want to share a little background and what the organization is all about, we'd be grateful.
Mm-hmm. So the Walnut Foundation was founded by two gentlemen, Dr. Winston Isaac and Simon Samuel. And basically, when they were diagnosed, there just wasn't this level of information and engagement in the Black community. So the idea behind the Walnut Foundation was to, for men who've been diagnosed, to provide guidance, support, encouragement to other men who are newly diagnosed, and to provide information specific to Black men. So we have a support group that meets once per month. And again, that's geared to men who are newly diagnosed or men who've been treated for prostate cancer, but are having challenges with recovery from prostate cancer. And who better to talk to than somebody who has already had surgery or dealt with radiation or hormone treatment and the side effects from those treatments.
Okay.
So the support group is a key piece. We have a monthly membership meeting that deals with prostate cancer, but also looks at other issues, diabetes, hypertension. What happens when you end up in the hospital and have to transition from there back into the community or to long-term care?
Yeah.
So there's that piece. We have an annual health conference that typically, and you've been as well, looking at why prostate cancer in Black men, and what does the disease profile look like in different jurisdictions, so in the Pan-African world. And so we will bring in experts from the Caribbean who see a ton of cases, have a lot of experience with this thing, to share knowledge, share best practices on there. And that's really what we're about. Is the monthly sessions, going out talking to community groups and churches and businesses as well about prostate cancer. We've engaged the union community, the trade unions, huge supporters of the work we do, because a lot of their members are men, not just Black men, men in general, as I alluded to earlier. This disease is not just, is no respecter of persons. And so our message resonated with them, and so they're on board, supporting. The churches are coming on stream now because they realize that this is an issue that impacts their membership, their families, their communities, irrespective of how well they eat or exercise, or irrespective of how favored they might be. There's a reality that we're in this together. We have to work together. We have to share information and share knowledge and share ideas on how to engage the system to get the best out of the system.
Right. America Patton from Kansas City has a question. It says, I am wondering why this topic is not part of the academic curriculum in all schools inside health education classes.
Well, it's a question we ask. We see the same issues, for example, with, even finances. So some of these issues that are so critical to how we build communities, how we build resilient communities, they're just not on the radar on there. But if we want to change that, we have to get involved. We have to be engaged. We have to engage those systems and encourage change. So very good point on there.
Okay. I follows up with saying during my primary education years, I learned a great deal of information about sex education prevention, but nothing about prostate prevention.
Again, so true, and for generally for health, I think we need more information, better information about how to eat better. Issues around diet, exercise, so important, but it's just not addressed nearly enough on there. And again, you don't get change in systems without advocacy without us taking some of these things on as our issue or baby and running with it and, knocking down doors if you have to be heard and just to engage proactively.
What are ways people can support friends or family members who may be at risk or who have prostate cancer?
Mm-hmm. So at the outset, what I would say is keep in touch with the Walnut Foundation and what we're doing, because a lot of the information that we're putting, the people we're trying to bring together to put at your disposal are experts in their field, in a diet, in exercise, in treatment options, paid and unpaid, So those are the important pieces on there. Is just to be engaged and understand what's going on. There's a lot of information out there, and sometimes information is self-serving. Somebody might be trying to sell you a product or whatever. So it's so important to have quality information and be able to, engage back and forth, bring information to your medical team, talk to people, and get at the right information, for yourself. So the screening piece is critical. The knowledge piece is important. How we engage. I'll give you an example. Somebody came to one of our support groups, and he was mentioning, my old doctor used to do the digital rectal exam. My new doctor doesn't do it. His concern was, he's missing out on something. All right. So the consensus of the group was, you need to go back and have a conversation with this person. So or meetings or groupings can be so constructive in terms of getting at better health outcomes for our population. It doesn't have to be a fight, but it's the way you go back and you engage and you dialogue with. If you're not comfortable with something, or you think you're missing out on something, or well, if he or she's not doing the DRE now, why is that? Explain why, and get a better understanding as to why or why not on there.
Got it. Outside of being involved with the walkathon, how can our listeners get involved with your organization?
So folks can get involved. They can become members. It's only $10 a year, a token amount. And so they can get involved with the education piece. So going out and talking to churches and community groups. They can get involved with going to the health fairs. If they have, web designing skills, developing communication pieces, developing educational materials, we certainly welcome that kind of help. And just various ways to help make the work of the volunteer easier.
Got it.
So critical.
How important is the involvement of community to the future of this organization?
Community is critical. The bedrock of what we do, even the walkathon, right? It's building on family and friends. The walkathon has survived for 11 years. This is our 11th year. And the backbone of the walk really is families. It's families who've been impacted, who are coming out to support us. And so it's not uncommon to have, 2 or 3 generations of family members on the walk.
Nice.
So that's huge. The people who fund the walk typically same people and also their connections. And for some people, they're not impacted directly by prostate cancer, but they have an interest in health issues and how we can, create more resilient communities. And so they stand up, They might be impacted because, like some of the union guys, for example, is because, they've been going to funerals.
Yes.
They're members. You talk to the trade unions, you talk to the police officers. It touches all of us. And, like I said before, this thing is no respecter of persons. All right. So there's all these people who are coming to us who want to be a part of the process. And that's the backbone of Team Walnut, really, is the families and the different people who are involved.
Have there been any recent advancements in prostate cancer detection and treatment that you want to share with us?
Yeah. So, if you look at MRI usage, for example, in the old days, if you had a high PSA or suspicious PSA, one of the first things they would do after that is to send you to do a biopsy. But as you know, the biopsy is very invasive because they're going through the rectum to the prostate and taking samples, sometimes 13 samples, 20 samples from there to test it, to see what's going on with your body. And nowadays, before they go that route, they might do an MRI. Right. And so it's not unusual nowadays to see them going the MRI route first, because what the MRI does is to sort of pinpoint areas of suspicion. And so that if they have to do a biopsy, they can pinpoint those dark spots and test samples from those spots. That's one thing. The medications have certainly improved. Radiation, for example, has improved a ton. It was not unusual, for example, in the old days for, maybe the bladder to be impacted, but now they can put, barriers in to kind of protect the areas that don't need to be radiated. So those are just some of the changes. The other piece to it, which is huge, is that for some of us, if our cancer is detected early, so let's say we're like a Gleason 6, there might be no need to treat immediately, as long as the profile of the cancer doesn't change. And that comes from research, and that comes from a level of understanding. So in my case, for example, I was on active surveillance for 9.5 years before being treated. So I come to this with that body of understanding.
Lived experience.
Yeah. Certainly when I was diagnosed first, I thought the only thing that could be done was to go to treatment right away. Treatment for prostate cancer, though, means some serious side effects: incontinence, erectile dysfunction, as examples. And so the thinking is, if your cancer is a Gleason 6, it's indolent, it's not growing, leave it alone, we'll just monitor it, right? That's a huge difference from 35 years ago.
Right. Are there any upcoming events or initiatives beyond the walkathon?
Yes, we're looking at a screening on a Sunday in the northwest section of Toronto, and that's geared to people who worship on Saturdays, where we typically have our screening days and most of our information sessions, because we are always looking for who are we not reaching in terms of our screening, which pockets of the community, because our community is so diverse. So that's one piece. We're also looking to do a screening geared to the West African community. We're talking to some people about that. So, stay tuned to the Walnut Foundation, because information on that will be coming out shortly.
Okay. And just to wrap up, what are you most hopeful about for the future?
I'm hopeful for a number of things, that we will continue to be engaged on this file, beginning to feel more welcome in certain spaces to speak about this issue. There was a reluctance at one point, and so people don't ask to see my slides ahead or review them as much. So that indicates a level of willingness to engage more.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's one piece. The other piece is we also do an endowment because based on feedback that we receive from our population, when we engage with the system, we don't see people that look like us. So our answer to that has been to create an endowment. One is at Temerity Faculty of Medicine, a U of T, where we're looking to identify medical students and provide some financial support to them. So we've seeded that endowment with $46,000. We're looking to, and we have 3 students who've benefited from that endowment already. We're also looking to set up a second endowment at TMU Medical School that's coming to Brampton this fall. For that endowment, they're looking for $150,000, which we don't have. So this is why the walkathon effort is so important. If we can get the dollars, then we can start to put some of these systems in place that will be sustainable, that will actually outlast the Walnut Foundation, right? Because the idea is to create a pool of capital at these 2 institutions and use the earnings from these dollars to fund bursaries for Black students.
Okay.
So because we need to change the face of what we see when we engage the system. In the GTA, there's only 1 Black urologist. Look at the population size. That's not good enough. And so that's not going to change. It's a multi-year effort.
Yep.
And it requires hands-on, all hands on deck, families, friends, supporters to be on board for this thing.
Excellent. Right. A few final comments. Dr. Tachi says it's always an education when Mr. Henry is on the show. Love that. Dr. Tacho says, food plane, Derek T. Tuggle, hey. Derek says, Dr. Tachi, good morning. America Patton says, today I will make a pledge to do my part. I would like to become a member and help get the word out about this health epidemic. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for this conversation. He says, apologies for my typo. Okay, so before we let you go, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another engagement with everyone to give their, what did they think about today's conversation? So I put it up on the screen. If you are watching on my YouTube channel live, all you need to do is rate it from 1 to 5. 1 being, was a waste of my time.
Yes.
5 meaning it was just, so you just press in the number and enter, and we'll see what goes on with that. But and also, if producer, can you put up the information for the Walnut Foundation up on the screen for us? So make sure that America Patton, make sure he has the right information to make it happen, because I love to see someone taking the action.
Again, it's so important for us to engage with each other on issues that impact us. If we don't make it our issue, nobody else is going to make it.
Yeah, exactly.
And so we have to take these issues and find our solutions to these issues and challenge systems and break down doors if we have to make things happen. But it also means that we have to put our hands in our own pockets.
Yep.
To support the cause, because these things require dollars. It requires your dollars, your support, your engagement, your love, And that's how we build communities.
Well, Mr. Anthony, I know someone's been trying to get a hold of you. Probably put it on, turned off your phone. I'm sure they're still ringing away while you've been on this conversation. So I think I've taken enough of the most important thing you have in your life, your time. But I want to say thank you. And can I ask that you don't come just once a year? Like, can you update us with some stuff? Like once a year is okay, but
you can have me on anytime. Just let me know when you have time.
It's more like when you have time, Mr. Conway.
I'm happy to come on and engage as often as you'll have me.
Well, fantastic. I want to bless you, the organization, the men and the families for what you have done, are doing, and will be doing. We'll certainly chat offline. I have some suggestions in regards to volunteers, even if it's short-term stuff, to push the needle forward. So as always, I like to say, don't just manage your time, manage your energy, and remember to give yourself grace. All right.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We are, in fact, our brother's keepers. So
100%. Be well and keep the faith.
Take care. Thank you. And thanks all of you for the support.
You're welcome. All right, family. There we go. And I just want to put up, I liked how some of you did some voting. I love it. So we'll just show you what you thought about today's conversation. Everyone who's voted, 5 out of 5. Thank you very much. Glad you thought today's show was an epic conversation. Do I have to hire Dr. Fearon? I think I may have to. He could be a great hype man. Dr. Tachi says, great show. Thank you, Dr. Tachi. Fantastic. All right, let's close it out. As always, subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button, like the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube. We're just short of 1,820 subscribers. I hope someone subscribed today. Be nice. But also follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Also join the Morning Vibe Discord group. Please email me at dr.vibe@thedrvibeshow.com or click on the link that's in your comments section to advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms that I'm on. Please feel free to email me again, dr.vibe@thedrvibeshow.com. Ryan Knight, RyanOneilKnight.com. Ryan Oneil Knight, and that is with a KN, not an N, by the way. You can catch him on LinkedIn at Ryan Oneil Knight, Instagram at Ryan.Knight99, email workwithme@RyanOneilKnight.com. Myself, website, thedrvibeshow.com, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show. Instagram at the DRVIBESHOW, X at DRVIBESHOW, email address. I've said that a number of times. Not going to go over that. Dr. Vibe on Substack. And within the next week or two, I will be posting on Substack. You know how? Someone's going to be doing it for me because so we've got a game plan on to start posting some stuff, some long form content like this, and also some shorts on Substack, all things being good. You can watch replays of the Dr. Vibe Show on the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. The Morning Vibe. My mistake. You can watch the Morning Vibe. Let me correct that. On the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. The Afro-Caribbean Business Network on Facebook, and then also you can watch it on Ryan Oneil Knight on YouTube. That's a wrap. So just make you aware, tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 p.m. Pacific, Aisha and Lala, primetime Saturday. Then Sunday, 5 p.m. Yes, my producer's going, yeah, he loves primetime. Maybe we can get Dr. Tachi in again. Would that be something? Big ups for Dr. Tachi on primetime anytime. And then also Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Black Canada Talking, and Monday night, Black Men Can Talk. And then we're back on Monday. I think at the present time, we don't have anything scheduled, so maybe an open conversation. So as we close off, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller, get stronger, block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember, don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace. Also, if you're not making money, make history. Try to do both and make it better. God bless. Peace be well. Keep the faith while good. I'm going to get some sun. Bye.
This whole thing of using your business with plant-based products, don't you think your life should reflect that too?
Juke him, Carolyn. Juke him. The family loves us here because they're saying Fitness IQ Can says put a wig on to get in.
Oh God.
Oh my God.
Like the ideas are just coming fast and furious here this morning. What? Okay, look at this. Global Women Ambassador. Good morning. Look forward. Okay.